What's up, YouTube? I'm Chuck the Liberty Geek. This is Casey. And my other guest host, other than this dog, please introduce yourself again to the rest of the world.
Hey folks, I'm Seamus Coughlin. I've been on here a few times. I've guest starred on Liberty Geek before. I also am a host on Christianarchy, and even though I've missed the past couple of episodes, long story there, we might get into that, but yeah, here we're just going to talk about some geeky liberty nonsense, so I'll throw it back to you, Chuck.
Yeah, today is going to be, I'm going to be bitching on Australia because you kind of have it coming right now. You've had it coming for a while. So, let's talk some anarchy. So, Seamus.
Yes?
What do you know about Australia?
Everything there tries to kill you. It was originally founded when the English government started sending English and Irish prisoners over to basically exile them on that scrap of land, and they ended up forming their own government group. So that's the extent to my knowledge on Australia. I know it was essentially founded as a prison colony. Everything there wants to kill you. Jim Jeffries is from there. I'm drawing a blank.
That one guy from House.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, is he Australian?
Yeah, fun fact, his parents are politicians there, who are for the No Immigration Party in Australia.
That's pretty interesting, actually, considering he's an immigrant. Wow, that's hysterical.
Yeah. So, you know what else is interesting about Australia? They're a fucking nanny state. Considering everything there tries to kill you, some statists would say, well, it's no wonder they're a nanny state. Well, too fucking bad.
Nothing there tries to kill you like the government.
Oh, yeah. So, the reason I want to talk about Australia is, it has a history, and we'll get into the history, but a couple weeks ago, the Australian government sued a specific big gaming company known as Valve Corporation. Yay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What was the nature of this suit?
They claim that basically the suit basically says that boo-hoo! Steam's customer service is really fucking shitty. So fucking what? That's not like government suit worthy. So the actual suit says that they're suing the company because the company typically does not give refunds on games, which is stupid. Because almost no other platform gives refunds on games either.
And not even just games. It's pretty hard to get a refund on anything these days. Generally, you'll get store credit or something like that, and even then you need to keep the receipt on you for the duration of the time that you own the product, so refunds aren't even like a common thing anymore.
And yes, they are also saying that Steam customer service notoriously sucks. So what? Again, that's not lawsuit-worthy. I mean, here's the thing that bothers me. Okay, yes, Valve sells Steam games in Australia, but Valve doesn't have a single employee in Australia, not even a facility. I don't even think they have servers in Australia. So,
that's insane. So, yeah, that falls apart so quickly. The Australian government has absolutely no place. What, do they want to place an embargo on or I guess embargo is not the proper term because that's for a country, but do they want to not allow...
well, the idea is because they sell Steam games to Australia as a region, that even though there's no employees there whatsoever, somehow Valve is responsible for not giving refunds, when apparently Australian consumer law says that all consumers have a right to a refund if there is a major fault in the product. Except the problem is, any major faulty games that are PC killing on Steam have never been Steam's fault. They have been on the fault of... First of all, they've been on the fault of the developers. Steam is just a platform that they sell stuff on, right? So, like, would you blame Walmart if they gave you a horrible toaster?
If I was a statist, yes, I would.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, well,
No, go ahead.
All right. Well, the first issue in what you said that sort of shows how screwed up the entire issue is, though most people would completely glaze over it, is the fact that the case is, as you mentioned, predicated on the fact that this company sells to Australia, quote-unquote, as a region. You can't sell to a region. You can sell to the individual people in the region, but it's not like that region is paying you for a large bulk order of that product. Just each individual person is purchasing the product, and yes, it adds up, but again, it's a completely collectivistic frame of reference that they're looking at it through.
And it's also weird because it's not like Valve is selling games directly to the Australian government.
Exactly.
So, I mean, Valve. This isn't the first time Valve has been sued, though. Like, God, European courts have been going after Valve for forever. But like, even then, it's really stupid because the European courts go after Valve because they're like, well, why aren't people allowed to resell their digital games to other people? It's like, do you not know how licenses work?
Yeah, well, that's a whole.
They sell you the game. They sell you the license to install and play the game. How? What?
Yeah, isn't it? Now here's my confusion because I'm not entirely in touch with the gaming community and I don't, know everything there. But
Here is my unexpert witness. Unexpert.
I like games, but I don't. So do they essentially just sell digital copies online? Like it's not a hard copy. You can just
correct. Valve sells their games and other companies' games, well, other developers' games online on a digital exclusive platform in which you just download them. That's it.
So how could you?
I mean, there's other stuff Valve does. Like Valve, they have other features to enhance the game, like enhance the gameplay, but essentially how they make money is as a publisher for exclusively as a digital distribution service. There are no physical copies of anything. They don't sell any physical copies of stores. Any Valve game-related merchandise isn't even sold on Steam. It's sold on ThinkGeek.
Okay.
So, they sell nothing in a hard copy, only digital.
So how could anything ever be resold by a customer then?
I don't get that. So, like, what? You should be allowed to resell your digital license to other people? Like, okay. Where's the money for Valve in that? Valve has to make money.
Mm-hmm. And then who ensures that you uninstall the program off of your computer when you sell the rights to that game to somebody else?
Well, to be fair, it would technically be possible for Valve because the way Valve's program works, it's sort of like DRM. And a lot of people bitch about DRM, but it's non-intrusive DRM in my opinion. All it does is it checks the game. If you are installing a Steam game on your computer, first of all, it checks that it's linked to the proper account, and then it checks to make sure that account has the license for the game. Simple as that. Fine. But recently there have been some other features that have been a little harder to keep track of. Like they have Steam introduced like a family sharing program, so you can like share your library with other accounts, but two people can't be playing the game at the same time. So it's like, how do you sell rights? I guess is the question. Can you sell rights? No.
You can't buy and sell.
Unless you're the state, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was going with that. But that raises the whole other question of IP. That's something the libertarian community argues over a lot as well.
Right. I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to bitch about Australia.
All right. Those damn.
I could get into that topic, but I would need at least like 5 hours for that show,
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I actually recently wrote an article about that. I could totally send that to you. I might post it somewhere on Facebook if anyone's interested. Most of the conservative libertarian sites I write for probably wouldn't be interested in it, just because I know that I think the IP thing is only an issue in like the really hardcore libertarian community. Like the further
I think IP is also a huge issue within like the nerdy community in general, when you think about it. Who indulges in IP more? Nerds. I mean, IP is in programming, IP is in games, IP is in books, movies. I mean,
that's totally true.
Mm-hmm.
But just so I don't steal the show and make it into intellectual property rants, back to Australia. So
Yeah.
essentially, they're trying to file a suit against this company because the company is not allowing customers to receive some sort of refund for their games.
Basically.
So why exactly does the company not allow customers to have refunds? Is that because it would be too difficult to keep?
I think that's more just Valve being lazy. Admittedly, I'm a huge fanboy of Valve, but they have their problems, right? Their customer service anywhere in the world is notoriously shitty. Okay? Let's get that out of the way. Yes, it is notoriously shitty, but I wouldn't sue them over it, right?
Well, do they suffer financially as a result of the fact that their customer service is poor? Could they be making more?
I mean, I don't think so.
You don't think so? So then they have no economic incentive to have better customer service until people choose to boycott. Or, of course, the government gets...
I mean, you can't, on the PC market, you can't boycott Valve anymore. Almost, they're literally the dominant, platform for, PC gaming sales, basically.
So they have a monopoly, essentially.
No, there's other littler companies, like you have Green Man Gaming. So here's the funny part. Some of their competitors, don't go through Steam. Like, Good Old Games does it, right? They have their own platform, but it's only exclusively for, older games that don't really run on modern PCs anymore. So not only are they giving you a game, they're giving you a program where you can run the older games on without any problems. So they're selling you their own thing. But other companies like Green Man Gaming, for example, they sell Steam keys. So they're selling video games on a PC platform, but they're selling you keys to input into the Steam program to get the rights to play the game on Steam anyways. So I mean, yes, there is kind of sort of a monopoly, but I mean, their biggest competitor is Origin, but nobody likes EA, so Origin will never take off.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Yeah, EA is kind of one of those companies that releases the same games over and over again.
Battlefield, like every year.
Yeah, but you know what? You can't say any different for a lot of other game companies. I mean, look at Call of Duty. It's the same exact thing. There's just these crappy first-person shooters. They were great. I mean, up until Call of Duty 5, it was great. I thought that World at War was a phenomenal game. But I feel like everything after that was just so overdone and boring and nothing new was
actually, my favorite was 4.
Your favorite was 4? You see, I like 5 because that's when Nazi Zombies was introduced, and I love that.
That's fine. But, okay, so with Australia suing them, right?
Yeah.
Australia has a lot of talk about... They're kind of being hypocritical on this issue because they talk about protecting the gaming consumer, or the consumer in general, right? But when it comes to gaming, Australia has this law, right? They have a state-run registration board. Like, here it's like the ESRB, right? But in Australia, it's state-run. You with me so far? So,
yes.
if this government rating board does not look at your game at all, you legally cannot sell the game in Australia, period.
Okay. That's ridiculous.
But not only that, usually, it was only a few years ago where they had an 18-plus rating in the first place. Before then, the highest they went was 15-plus. So most games effectively weren't being sold there anyways. And if they were, it was these bum... I'm trying to think of a good word here. These bastardized, censored versions, right?
Yeah.
Like Left 4 Dead 2. Everyone's heard of that game, if you're a gamer at all. It's shooting zombies, pew-pew, right?
It's a good game. I've played that one.
Yeah, that game came out censored in Australia. 5 years later, a week ago, Australia says, you know what? Fine, you guys can buy the uncensored version.
Oh, Lord, after 5 years.
After 5 years!
So here's another question I raised. Well, I mean, first of all, everyone knows... I shouldn't say everyone knows, but it's almost sort of this inside joke amongst Americans in the online community that everything is banned in Australia or that nothing's available in Australia. But the question is, I know that, for example, with DVDs, there's different regions, like a DVD from America will not play in certain countries. So I'm assuming we couldn't just ship our games to Australia. They wouldn't be able to...
Not really. I mean, it depends on the platform, right? Like it literally depends on the platform, but like there's ways around it. Like an Australian could technically go and import an American Xbox 360, but then there comes other issues with that. Then they have to import. If it was a physical based console like a 360 or a PS3, they'd have to import every single disc. First of all, that's expensive as shit.
Yeah, that's annoying.
And so any game on top of that in Australia that's sold is taxed. Extremely taxed. Like a normal game there, like a $60 game here, could cost upwards of 100 USD there.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord, indeed.
Well, that's not in any state.
So not only are they basically refusing to outright let certain games be sold in their country, or only censored versions, and 5 years later they say, okay, you're adult enough to play the uncensored version, which... Right?
Yeah, no, that's...
So on top of that, they tax the industry, and they wonder why there's almost no industry there. There's a little bit of industry there, somehow.
Yeah.
But...
These people are just so short-sighted. You have to wonder if they really do want to screw their economy up. You have to wonder, is this just part of some grand conspiracy that they want to make things so bad for whatever reason? It's almost, I mean, there's an old Mark Twain quote. I'm not sure if the world is run by idiots or evil geniuses who are putting us on, basically. And that's where my mind goes when I think of things like that. Like, how can your economic policy be so poor? And how can you be so short-sighted? And how can you fail to realize by 2014 that regulations slow down business? How does that happen?
I don't know. And on top of that, it's like, okay, so why are you treating your adult citizens? Okay, fine. Don't let Left 4 Dead 2 be sold to kids. Whatever. Shooting zombies. Oh, that's too mature, but
yeah, that's what.
Why are you treating your country's adults like kids too?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, like the new one, not like the one that's coming out, but like the other one, Mortal Kombat 9, right?
Yeah.
That game couldn't be sold for like a year because the ratings board just flat out refused to look at it because they said it was too violent. So fucking what?
Yeah. That's annoying. No, I'm sorry. I just don't even know where to go. I mean, I feel like maybe it's just because I'm in this libertarian echo chamber, and all I hear is people who think similarly to me in terms of economic policy. But we need to get rid of these regulations.
It's weird because it is like, it does affect their economy. Like, gaming, as much as people hate, as much as like the mainstream hates it now, it's a big industry.
Oh no, it makes a lot of
money out of it. Mm-hmm.
Well, and with the gaming industry, though, I mean, even though we're kind of talking shit about Australia for regulating their gaming market like they do,
they're not the only ones. They're absolutely not the only ones. I'm just picking on them because they sued Valve.
So. Now, look what we're doing over here. We're trying to have this whole movement to let feminist groups nanny and censor videos.
Yes, I didn't want to talk about that originally, like as a whole show, because it doesn't really technically break the NAP. But yes, oh my God, yes, you're absolutely right. It's obnoxious. Please stop.
I'll put it to you this way, and this was actually, I didn't come up with this. This is Christina Hoff Sommers, which I'm not sure if you've ever listened to her, but she's great. I mean, she's a feminist technically, but she's very anti-establishment in terms of how she sees modern feminism. And she made a statement not that long ago that if men were trying to regulate markets that were predominantly marketed towards women, for example, fashion magazines and cosmetic companies, if men were trying to regulate those industries to suit the needs of men, feminists would freak out. But it's completely acceptable for groups of women to regulate industries that are targeted at men.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, this character's too sexy. Like, well, don't play the fucking game. No one's this is the fun part. Like, no one is forcing you
to buy
the fucking game, right?
But no one cares about force anymore, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and in Australia, it's like they don't want you to buy the game either, apparently. I don't know. And, you know, Germany does this too. Germany, you're on my fucking shit list too.
Well, Germany should be your shit list for other reasons. They've done some other bad things in the past.
Yeah,
video games.
Yeah, but okay, they're on my nerdy shit list. So there.
Yeah.
But like, nerds in general, I think, and this doesn't just apply to gaming. Nerd hobbies in general have. How long have they been under attack? Forever. You know, anime, cartoons, video games, movies, books. They've been under attack by everyone. State organizations and not. Remember, they tried to ban porn books for a while, you know? I mean...
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct that a lot of nerdy industries have always been under attack, and there's always social pressure.
And it makes me wonder why. Do you have an answer for that?
Because everyone likes beating the shit out of the nerdy kid. What do you want me to say? I mean,
it's true.
Look how things have been. I mean, we kind of had this really weird cultural trend where for a while people thought, and to an extent still think, that being nerdy is cool, but I'm talking like hot girl wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Nerdy. I'm not talking about legitimately nerdy. And so we claim we have nerd acceptance, but if you actually are a nerd, you're not allowed to do anything that a nerd enjoys doing.
I know. Okay, so like, it's true. Like, okay, they talk about nerd acceptance, but you go to, last year I went to Umicon, which is like an anime convention in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And all the locals were like, despite the fact that we're bringing business to Detroit, you know, like hotels are getting business there, so people can come visit Umicon and shit, right? They're like, why are these freaks in my town?
That's so.
And it's like, I heard, you know, I wasn't one of the people cosplaying, so I could get away with it, because I just happened to be on the People Mover. But I heard one woman, you know, she said to her friend on the People Mover, she looked at someone that was cosplaying, and she was like, "What a fucking weirdo." Her words, exactly. And she's like, "Why are all these weird people?" She's like, "Where are all these fucking weird nerds out today?" And I was just like, "Yeah."
That's the thing. I'm not really big into cosplay, but those types of people aren't causing trouble. When was the last time they hit? What's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that same woman, right? Oh, you're lagging.
That there was an anime convention in.
All right, you were lagging a bit.
You're lagging too. I completely.
All right, so let's start over.
All right, you were lagging. Can you...
Yes, can you hear me now?
All right.
I was going to bitch that same woman. Okay. I was going to bitch that same woman, with her high heels, stepped on my toe while I was wearing sandals. That's my bitching moment.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow, Chuck.
Now, yeah, I know. I have a lot of reason to be mad. But as you were saying, because you lagged out for most of what you said. So why don't you say it again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even like the people who are doing cosplay and going to those conventions are causing any trouble. Like, when was the last time they had an anime convention and crime went up in that area during that weekend?
Never. Absolutely. That's a really funny thing to think about, because now that I think about it, never. Like, this is the one group that is least likely to cause trouble. Literally, the least fucking likely to cause any trouble.
They're not throwing Molotov cocktails through business windows, yelling in Klingon. Like, they just want to wear costumes and
meet other people that wear costumes.
They're definitely not getting anyone pregnant while they're there.
No. Oh.
Like the wear costumes. Yeah, but totally. I mean, they're not people who are hurting anyone. It's just everyone likes to bully the kid that's different. And there's actually a good Penn Jillette quote along those lines, which is essentially, the reason I hate government is because it's just like ganging up on the weird kid, and I'm always the weird kid.
The weird kid, yes. I've heard that quote. I love that quote.
I love it. And you see that with status mentality. This person's weird, even though they claim to be about acceptance. This person's weird, this person's different, they do things we don't like. Fuck them, let's do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, like in Japan, they're trying to push that I did an episode about it a while ago. They're trying to push that anti-lolicon legislation, which is like stuff about little girls. Which, okay, yes, it's a little disturbing, but first of all, they're not real.
That's a lot disturbing. What's this?
First of all, they're not real. They're all drawn and animated, right?
Okay,
and
so this is
and two, you know, so I mean, there's that there, right? And then you have the whole like gaming debacle in Australia and Germany and other countries, right? And then you have, the porn firewall in Korea, which I guess isn't really against nerds, but I mean, there's probably a lot of nerds that watch porn anyways.
Yeah.
So sure, we can count it.
It's against virgins.
Yeah.
A lot of us nerds fall in that category.
Oh, ouch.
Hey
and
man,
then here,
huh?
and then here you have, what problem do we have with, there's so many of them. It's hard to count. So all over the world, nerds are just and it's weird because you're right. It's almost like schoolyard bullying, but on a grand scale. It's like, ha, you like to play video games, so you know what? You pay extra taxes.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, you know what else? It reminds me of, if you don't mind, if I just kind of throw this out here, because I've been thinking about this.
Hey, welcome to Liberty Geek. You can say what you want, unless you're a statist.
Oh, well, I better... No, but basically, what I want to throw out there is it's kind of paradoxical, and what it reminds me of what I mentioned earlier about how we're quote-unquote accepting nerds, but none of the things that nerds conventionally do. Mm-hmm. It's almost like how a lot of these like really liberal feminist groups talk about fat acceptance, but then the same liberal groups try to ban fast food and other things that will make you overweight.
And then, like, oh my god, talk about radical feminists. Let's talk about the Zoe Quinn conspiracy.
That's what, yeah.
Let's not, because I'll be here for like 10 hours just ranting and ranting and ranting if we do that.
Yeah, we'll go way over the time limit.
But, so Australia and other countries, stop it.
Sunglasses indoors. Keep going, continue.
That's just how I feel about it. It's like, why are you picking on the nerds? Like, why are you picking on the nerds and the nerd companies?
Because it's easy. Not enough of the nerds own guns. That's why, Chuck.
I know.
We own replica Star Trek phasers, but those aren't good at fighting. We need real guns.
I almost fell victim to a nerd tax where I did it, but I was at FYI, and they had a lamp, and the base of the lamp was shaped like Darth Vader's lightsaber, and I was so tempted.
Oh, that is awesome.
And I was like, oh, that's cool, and they're like, it's $80. I'm like, oh, that's not cool.
Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
I know.
$80? That is true.
For a lamp.
Yeah, for a lamp. Now I'm looking. We gotta get some nerdy Star Trek phasers, Chuck. It's the quintessential.
I know. We need to invent that shit and be like, yo, government, look at us. Set phasers to stun.
There is no sun. Set phasers to kill. No, we're just kidding, guys. Don't kill anybody.
Oh,
we're not.
Boy.
Label this terrorist.
FBI. Oh God, is that the FBI behind you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we joke about that, we're gonna get labeled as terrorists. We can't even tread those waters.
You can't. Jesus. No. I wonder if Jesus would be a nerd today.
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, he definitely wouldn't conform for the sake of conformity, but also would his interests... I mean, he would have been super religious.
So.
Religious is something people consider nerdy. Like, he would have been smart. I mean, think about what people had to read back then. Like, it basically would have been the Torah, and he knew the Torah front to back. So, like, the only people had access to read, it'd be like, you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. But, it's 9:28. That's pretty much all the time we have today. Seamus, why don't you plug yourself one more time?
Well, yeah, I'll plug myself. I'm Seamus Coughlin. I do a show called Christianarchy. As an occupation, I'm a writer and an animator, but I love helping out with liberty-related things. And I missed the last couple of shows, and my co-hosts are really upset with me, so I want to apologize to them. Especially because last week it literally just completely slipped my mind, and I guess there was nothing in the chat window and this, that, and the other. But I love you guys so much. Don't be mad at me. And Chuck, thank you so much for having me on.
It's always a pleasure. You're always hilarious and fun. And you're always fun to have as the unexpert witness. And as always, man, This is Chuck the Liberty Geek, guys, and I will see you guys next week. Maybe we'll talk about something more relevant. I'm really sorry, guys. But you know what? It was a good episode. Thank you, Seamus. Go check out Seamus and everything he does. And check me out, because you're already watching me. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.